Here we have a beautiful day in San Francisco. This is Battery Park, which is the area on the western edge of San Francisco overlooking the Pacific Ocean. It's called Battery Park because 100 and more years ago there were coastal defense guns up here, coastal batteries as they were called. And now those, of course, are gone, and it's just a parkland. And it's a very beautiful area overlooking the Pacific Ocean and going out to San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge. So here we have the area of the far western tip of San Francisco, going out over the Cove, Battery Cove, and then the Pacific Ocean out in the distance, of course. And if you could see, it's a very clear day for San Francisco. It's a little hazy, but very clear for San Francisco. And now we're coming around to the part on the far side of the Golden Gate. This is where that's Mount Tamalpais and the Mount Tamalpais Park. And you can see here the Golden Gate Bridge going across from San Francisco over to the Marin County area in San Francisco. Can't see the bay. The bay is on the far side of the, well, I guess you can see a bit. The bay is on the far side of the Golden Gate here. We are on the ocean side of the Golden Gate. This is Baker Beach here in San Francisco, and the area at the far green area, that's called Land's End, and it is the part of San Francisco that extends furthest out into the ocean. And a little bit to the east of that, you can see this is the Richmond district of San Francisco, and this area is actually quite foggy in much of the year, or at least at parts of the year. But today is a very clear day, and you can really see a very expansive view of the ocean around San Francisco. Here we've come a little higher up the ridge towards the Golden Gate Bridge, and you can see the passage across from San Francisco over to Marin County over the Golden Gate Bridge. Traffic going over. This is the connection to the area in Marin, including very nice Sausalito. Can't see Sausalito from here, but on the other side of the Golden Gate, we go down a few miles, turn in. It's a beautiful little town, wonderful food there, wonderful shops and things like that. And there you can see just the edge of the San Francisco Bay over in the distance. San Francisco is a vital port to the economy and commerce of the United States. And over the years, a huge amount of material were shipped out across the Great Pacific to the various islands, and of course, ultimately out to Asia. This meant that the protection was very important. In the 1890s, new armament technology arose in which battleships had guns that could fire 12 miles. So that made most of the coastal defenses inadequate. And as a result, new coastal defenses were established to protect this port of San Francisco. You can see here the Golden Gate Bridge going out over the entrance out to the Pacific. And I'm standing on one of the very large concrete fortifications that was built that included large guns that could equal the new 12-mile firing guns on battleships. These guns would have been mounted all along these concrete emplacements. You can see there is an area where there would have been a rotating gun, and the concrete where the shells and other things would have been stored. As a result, having guns that could equal that of the battleships, this meant that a firefight between battleships and the gun batteries would always be run by the shore, because no matter how much steel they put on a battleship could not increase to the point of resistance of feet and feet of concrete. This is a lower view of one of those emplacements. You can see the Golden Gate Bridge sticking just above. This is one of the gun emplacements that was there. And this whole area would have been manned by troops and huge guns able to fire back at any enemy battleships that were coming across. And of course, the guns, the ammunition, the troops, etc., protected by feet and feet of concrete. This is a little further south along the coast from San Francisco. You can see off in the distance those hills. That's where Mount Tamalpais and the Marin County Mountains area is across the Golden Gate Bridge. You can't see the Golden Gate Bridge, it's a little to the right here. Panning over this, these are the seal rocks along the coast. And then panning further around, you can see the Pacific Ocean and the waves coming in from the Pacific Ocean. These are very powerful waves along here. They have riptide, which can be extremely dangerous, and there are signs out warning people if they go out into the water to be careful of the riptides. One of the things that you will notice is that there are people on the shore who are not getting people in the water, not only because of the riptide, but because it's very cold. People don't realize how cold the water is. People who go out in the water for any significant time have to wear wetsuits because it is so very, very cold. These are some of the apartments and condominiums along the Skyline Drive here that is looking out over the ocean. And as you can see, just right across from the beach, all of the very nice activity here. You'd think that these were some of the most expensive places in San Francisco, but actually they're not. The reason being there is fog along here for a lot of the year. You can't see anything. It's like living in pea soup. It could be very, very nice and warm on the other side, but out here on the bay side, but out here on the ocean side, it can be very cold and damp and wet. So yeah, they're expensive. San Francisco is expensive in general. These are not the most expensive because people don't want to pay premium for living in a place that's going to be fogged in. These are bulldozers moving sand back away from the seawall. You can just imagine that over time, with those waves coming in, there is a huge amount of sand that's pushed back, and especially at high tides. Well, they have to come out here and regularly move that sand back away from the seawall, back out towards the shore. And it's a very big activity, as you can see. Well, here are two young ladies playing volleyball, practicing. This is a great place for playing volleyball. Not great for swimming. I did see one person with a wetsuit and a surfboard going out a little earlier, but you gotta have a wetsuit if you're gonna get in that water. And you gotta be a good swimmer in case you get caught by that tide. So here we have a wider perspective of San Francisco now from Twin Peaks. And you can see in the distance the Golden Gate Bridge. And now this is sweeping across San Francisco and San Francisco Bay. You can see the buildings down along the coast, along the waterfront in San Francisco. And across in the distance is Oakland and Alameda. You can see the pointed building, that's the Transamerica building. And the very tall building that's tapered on top, that's the Salesforce building, the tallest building in San Francisco. And now coming across to the southern facing direction of San Francisco. Then off in the distance down there, further down would be Oakland, would be San Jose, etc., but much too far to see that. So this is a great panorama of the San Francisco area. This is the downtown area in San Francisco, and we actually live, I don't know if you see our building or not. Actually, there is a freeway running through here. Can't mark it, but we live very near this area. This is the San Francisco Convention Center, called the Moscone Center. This is an area that was very depressed, underdeveloped years ago, and began with a redevelopment program centered on the Moscone Center in the early 1980s, and has now expanded to the tune of creating one of the central areas of San Francisco. You can see here many of the high-rises, hotels, and such. And as I say, in the late 70s, certainly, this was an area of rundown houses, many old, small industrial places, factories, or small factories and the like. So it's really been transformed with the Moscone Center. This is another view of the Moscone. This is another view of the Moscone Center, looking from it across the other side of the street. You can see this is the Blue Shield of California Theater, which has many small theater productions, and there is a Moscone area performance room. You can see the walkway connecting the two sides of the Moscone Center in the middle there. This is the Yerba Buena Garden, which is just to the back side of the Moscone Center. It's between Howard Street and Mission. And here we have a very nice, which you can't see, unfortunately it's undergoing repair, but a very nice Martin Luther King fountain, and it's a very lovely feature which is now being repaired. You can see the Yerba Buena Garden is a nice open area. People come out, you can see the dogs, and lots of other relaxation going on. If you pan around, you can see the shopping area, which is here. So this is a very nice part of the local area. This is Howard Street, right in front of the Moscone Center. Looking down at the far end is the Embarcadero. And the Moscone Center here is on two sides, one to the right, one to the left. And if you go around from the Moscone Center, this is the shopping area with the AMC Theater and other stores. Here is the third part of the Moscone Center here. So three sections of the Moscone Center. And then there is a very nice carousel over here for kids to ride and have lots of fun. This is the children's play area directly above the Moscone Center. So there's room for kids to come here, have a good time. And then, in addition, there is an area where people can sit, relax, throw balls, play with the dogs, whatever. So it's a very nice use of the space directly above the Moscone Center.